But I want to begin with the trial that we're covering, gavel-to-gavel coverage in Polk County, Florida. Andre Warner has been convicted of an execution-style murder of a young dad who was begging for his life. Now there's a jury that must decide whether or not he lives or dies. That's their only decision they need to make, and they're listening to all of this evidence. And Andre Warner, wants to take the stand, wants to tell the jury that he didn't do it because he testified during the guilt phase, told the jury that he didn't do it. That jury didn't believe him, wants to tell the new jury that. But today was a day that illustrates the impact that these things have, not just on the victims, but there are other victims here. Adam Hilaire, his family, his daughter, everyone, we understand how drastically that family has just been devastated by this. Today we got to see the other side of the coin, which is the impact this has on Andre Warner's family. And Andre Warner's mother today was called to the stand in defense. Right? So his mom is called to try to save his life, the woman who brought him into the world, trying to save him from death row by getting up there. And I'm not going to judge or vilify the mother of a defendant who's facing the death penalty, getting up and speaking in court. I mean, it's part of the whole process. I mean, for the jury to understand it, they've got to understand everything. But to me, Andre Warner's a convicted killer. We know he did it. We know what he did. But now you can also see what that is doing to his own family as well. And it happens in all these cases. I mean, once you cross that line and you decide to take someone else's life, and then, that life ends and you're caught and now you're in the system, I mean, it's ugly everywhere. It's horrific for everyone involved because of the decision you made. But now the question will be for this jury is whether or not anything presented by the defense, and in particular by Andre Warner's mother, gives them reason to spare his life, to not send him to death row, to not recommend that he deserves the death penalty, that he's not the worst of the worst. That's a tough spot to put your mom in, to say the least, right? I mean, looking back, even going back to the case of Casey Anthony, that was a death penalty case. I mean, a lot of people's eyes were on Casey Anthony's parents, who were also the grandparents of the victim. But even under those circumstances, you saw a mother who would say anything to save her daughter. And we saw it in that trial. So I would expect any mother to get up there and say whatever they believe they needed to say to save their child's life. That's what parents do, regardless. It's unconditional, right? That's part of being a parent. As horrific and horrible whatever your child did, whether you believe they did or didn't do it. But at the end of the day, for Tracy Warner, this is a tough spot. Let's take a look at the convicted killer's mother on the stand trying to save his life.
But how old were you when you had Andre?
19.
Okay, so you ended up getting your GED at 19.
Correct.
And what year did you drop out of high school?
I had him in December of '89. I never returned to school after that. Just being a parent, period, is scary. But to be a young mom, it was a little scary.
What was scary about it?
The fact I didn't know what to do. I didn't really have a full-time job to take care of, so I was depending on my family to help with stuff and Paul to help with stuff.
Paul coming to see Andre?
No.
You say no. Did he ever go visit Andre?
He probably came about 2 times.
2 times?
Yeah, in the few months that I was with my parents.
Okay, so 2 times in, you say a few months, was that?
It was about 4, maybe 5 months.
Okay. So not even once a month?
No.
During this point in time, did you learn that Paul had actually had a child with another person?
It was shortly later, yes. He wound up having a son.
And at one point in time, with one of those 2 times that Paul came to visit Andre, did he bring someone with him?
He brought his newborn son.
And how did you respond to that?
I was upset. Here I am with his son we had been married in love, and you just now disregard your son and you just have another kid like Andre didn't exist.
Now, how old was Andre when this happened?
He was probably a couple years old by that time.
He sees Andre twice, and then you move to Donnelly Homes. And tell us what, you said it was a project. I mean, let's talk about what that was like.
Low income, drug infested, gang infested, roach infested, just basically a lot of typical low income housing neighborhoods.
And why did you get evicted?
Non-payment of rent.
Is that because you...
I was working part-time. I wasn't getting child support. Trying to survive, on my own, raising my son.
If you could, for the jury, describe in one word your relationship with Mr. Smith.
Toxic.
And how often would he sexually assault you?
A couple times a week.
Did Andre wet his bed?
He did.
How long did Andre wet his bed?
5, 6 years.
Okay. How frequently would he do that?
Practically nightly.
Practically nightly?
Yeah.
How did you emotionally respond to that?
I would get angry. At first it was, just change the bed and change him, but then it got to the point where I would get frustrated. The bed's wet again, I gotta get ready for work. And there would be occasion that I would spank him for it.
You would spank him?
Yes.
Was Andre diagnosed with any learning disabilities?
He had ADHD.
Okay. And that was a medical diagnosis?
That's correct. Andre loved being a dad to all the children, but I guess the biological, you get a little more closeness. But he would go to work and come home at 2 a.m. and wake up Philip just to go take him in the kitchen so they could eat together. And before he wound up going back to bed and sending Philip back to his mama in bed. He adores his son. He adores him.
Andre Warner's mom on the stand. Let's bring in our guest. Joining us, Court TV crime and justice reporter Joy Lim Nakrin is with us from Bartow, Florida. And in Phoenix, Arizona, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias and the author of the book series Trapped with Ms. Arias, Kirk Nurmi, back with us. All right, Joy, I'll begin with you. Is the theme of this defense in describing Andre Warner's life that he had a rough life, that he didn't, he wasn't born to a silver spoon and had things extremely difficult? Is that part of the theme here?
Absolutely. From the mother, absolutely. He was forced to witness her being abused, that his father abandoned him, that his father disowned him in public. At one time, she describes his father even saying, "No, that's not my kid." He says everyone's his dad. So really trying to draw some sympathy from the jury. We heard her allude a little bit to the ADHD, and then later on in the day, we heard the psychologist elaborate on other psychological issues that he has, bipolar depression, and also low IQ, Vinny.
All right, Kirk Nurmi, let me ask you, are these the types of things that jurors will consider and say, hey, all right, he's had a rough life, let's cut him a break? Is that how it works, you think, with juries in death penalty cases?
Well, that's certainly part of it, Vinny. I mean, when they're sworn in, when they go through the voir dire process, they're swearing that they can impose both life or death, and they're also swearing that they can consider all mitigating factors, everything about the defendant, ultimately from the moment of conception up to the time of sentencing. So they have committed to doing that, and they're committed to considering this evidence and deciding whether or not that evidence makes him worthy of receiving the ultimate penalty or not.
Joy, we're watching Andre Warner cry right there. At what moments today made this convicted killer cry?
When he was listening to his mom, when he was listening to his mom describe his childhood, when he was listening to his mom describe the passing of his grandfather, maternal grandfather, her father. And at one point, he got so emotional, they actually had to take a break in the courtroom. And, you know, perhaps in retrospect, that's something that the defense wishes that they kept the jury in for and kept him in front of the jury for, so that he could show some more emotion and humanize himself to them.
Well, they also he wants to take the stand, right?
Yeah, he wants to take the stand, and he has every right to do that. But here's the thing: he wants to proclaim that he's innocent. And so, of course, the state said, no, there's no reason he should do that. Residual doubt is not at issue here. And, you know, the defense actually said, you guys opened the door to residual doubt. You know, obviously this case was decided with the first jury on its merits. They already convicted him of murder, right? The defense argued, hey, yesterday, remember when you were cross-examining our witness, that for the firearms expert, and you said there weren't fingerprints, DNA evidence, and physical evidence that conclusively linked our client to that crime scene? Well, you guys opened the door to the issue of residual doubt. So let's go ahead and address it. And let's let our client get up there and proclaim his innocence.
Kirk, what should happen here? Should he be able to get in front of a second jury and proclaim his innocence again?
You know, Vinny, under normal circumstances, right, the jury that sentenced him, if there had not been this interruption with COVID, they would have heard that, right? So there's an argument to be made that in the second trial, the jury that makes this decision, they're supposed to account for everything that, as the way the first jury did, that they should consider this. But I think it's kind of a double-edged sword for the defense, and I wouldn't be charging in so quickly if I was running this case, because he's already been found guilty. The jury's told they're supposed to accept that. And part of the quest for mercy is acceptance of responsibility. And when a defendant stands up and says, I didn't do it, that becomes problematic to that quest for mercy.
So, Joy, I want to get back to Tracy Warner, Andre's mother. How was that what was it like in the courtroom for that testimony? How was that received by the jury? Did any sense at all as to whether the jury was seeming to listen closely and have some level of sympathy for this woman?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were moved by it. I watched as one juror kind of smiled along as Tracy Warner was recounting childhood memories of little Andre. And, you know, when she left the courtroom, several jurors kind of watched her walk out and followed her with their eyes. They were very, very engaged. And just contrast that with the other two witnesses that we've heard from for the defense, expert witnesses. Remember, today we heard very long testimony for much of the afternoon from a psychologist, and then yesterday we heard again most of the afternoon that firearms expert. And during both of those experts' testimony, we caught jurors nodding off. So by far, putting Andre's mother up on the stand today was the best move the defense has made.
So, Joy, what you're telling me is I should not play a soundbite from one of those witnesses. So we don't want anyone at home nodding off tonight. Joy Lim-Nakrin is in Polk County, Florida for us, covering all of this. Tomorrow's another big day. Of course, we'll have our coverage here. Thank you so much. Kirk Nerby's going to stay with us.